All right, it's Friday, July the 14th, 2017. Hi, my name is Earl Arnold. I am the host of Let's Talk About Tomorrow. Hey, buddy, it is the weekend. We have made it. And man, do I have an awesome show for you today. This is one show that I've been really wanting to do for a long time. So we're going to have a couple of people on here that are going to kind of share what I think is great information. And I'm going to really show you how important it is if you're a songwriter. There's just a certain way to go about stuff. And as a producer and as a mixing engineer and also as a demo vocalist my whole life, I really want to show you the importance of making sure you record your songs the correct way. But first, my opening comments. Stick around. Well, you know that it's not a weekend until we bring Tommy Lee Crossland on the show and let him welcome all of us to the weekend. It's our theme song. Gotta have it. Welcome to the Weekend by Tommy Lee Crossland.
Come on, girl, it's getting late. We gotta head on down to our favorite place. You know it's happy hour 2 for 1. When the band kicks up in just a few, I hope they play my song so I can dance with you. You know the one I like to sing along. It's been one hell of a week, and we're still going strong. We ain't about to leave till we get our party on. Welcome to the weekend. Gonna do a little drinking. Baby, I was just thinking, I don't have to punch that boss man's clock for the weekend. Maybe we can just sleep in, even get a little loving in. Yeah, our night's about to rock.
Welcome to the weekend. That's right. That was Mr. Tommy Lee Crossland. Hey, our official weekend theme song, Welcome to the Weekend. Now, what I want to talk about today is related to what we just heard. Tommy Lee Crossland wrote Welcome to the Weekend. Now, he plays acoustic guitar. He's a great performer, great singer. You can see him live. I mean, he's singing and playing all the time. Here's the thing, though. When Tommy actually wrote that song, he knew he had something there. So the first thing he did is he made sure that he did the right thing. He sat down with the right studio musicians, and he had that song professionally recorded. We call it a demo. And what we do as writers, we try to write that hit song, all on our own to begin with. Like, I play acoustic and I sing, but I'm not a great acoustic player. I've been a demo vocalist pretty much my whole life, so that's what I know how to do. But when it comes to acoustic guitar, I can get by and write some rough acoustic, just enough to sing along with and then be able to hand that off to the musicians when it's time for me to actually sit down and share with them the song that I want to professionally get recorded by them. That way, I've got a great demonstration or a demo of my song that I've written. To all the songwriters that are listening out here today, this show is for you guys. I want you to fully understand that as a songwriter myself, I've learned my lessons many, many years ago to never try to record anything on my own ever again. Made the biggest mistake in my career when I was a young, I'll just say a stupid kid. That's the only way I can put it. I had an ego. I was arrogant. I thought that I could just do everything on my own. Probably one of the largest mistakes I ever made, because I had the fortune of sitting down with one of the biggest publishers in Nashville, Tennessee, way back then. Unfortunately, my recording was awful. Even though I thought it was great, I didn't know the difference. But boy, did I learn the difference that day and have never looked back. Everything I do now will always be professionally recorded by the best musicians in the world. I bring these guys into the studio all the time to record the songs that I produce. I produce a lot of songs for a lot of songwriters. And I'll never do it the old way ever again. I don't allow songwriters to talk me into letting them play also. It's just something that I have to stick to because I do know better. I know the difference, and I just can't allow myself to ever play on a recording again. And I can't allow the songwriters, unless they are Nashville recording session players that do it every single day for a living. And I hope that the songwriters that are listening, they'll trust that that's going to be the best advice I can ever give them. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to share with you a song that I'm in the middle of writing right now. It's as far as the chord structure and the progressions and all that, I've already charted all that out. That part is done. And I've reached out to 5 or 6 players to go ahead and get that meat and potatoes laid down on this song. And now I've really got something to work with. But I want to show you what my example was when I first reached out to the first musician. I'm going to try to include everything that happened in this true story, and this is the way you should look at every song you write. All right, I'm going to first of all play you a sample of what I shared with the first musician.
I don't need a big house sitting on a hill. I don't need a fancy car sitting on fancy wheels. Don't need lots of money, it can't buy me happiness. Oh baby, I want you, and I don't need the rest. I need some stars and the sky, with the night passing by. I need wind in your hair, as long as you're there, so I can look in your eyes. I need a fire and a flame, when you whisper my name. I'm a simple man, it's true. I need a moon and you.
All right, I know what you're thinking already. Man, that is awful. I agree 100%. Here's the thing, though. Let me tell you what I learned. I don't have to sound great in my example. I just have to get that example across. So when I sit down and compose, because I do compose and I chart my own songs, but I also take the musicians that I work with every day, because they are the best and they're the experts. I have them critique that chart to death to make sure that I didn't mess up. That's called leaving your ego and your arrogance at the front door. You really want to trust the musicians I'm talking about. Yes, I do love charting, but the first musician that is going to be playing on this example that I'm showing you was one of the musicians that taught me how to write charts from day one. He's one of my best friends. He's also one of the greatest acoustic guitar players in the world. Now, this song, when I wrote it, remember I told you I was thinking Keith Urban, so I knew I had to have acoustics kind of driving this thing, because that's what I was hearing. All right, so you've heard that awful example of a song that I'm writing called I Need a Moon and You. All right, so the first thing I want to do, I want to reach out to the acoustic player, sit down with him, let him hear this terrible example, let him look at the chart, and then let him create his magic. So, step number 2, I've got the acoustic player in studio, and he's going to lay down the acoustic part. Check it out. All I can say is, wow. That was Mr. Kurt Ryle playing the acoustics. See, that is the type of acoustic you have to have. You cannot settle for less. You can't do it like you heard my example. My acoustic guitar playing is horrendous. Kurt Ryle did an amazing job. And, this is what amazes me. He plays through that one time. Then he goes through and plays a second acoustic to put it in there as another creative part. That's the artwork that these guys and gals have that I'm talking about. I talk about them all the time because they're the ones who always make me sound and look so good as a songwriter, as a producer, and as a mixing engineer. I really do owe all of them anything good that happens to me. It's their fault because they're just that great. Okay, now I've got my acoustic guitar. It's exactly more than I hoped for. So I'm getting excited. This is my song. Kurt just gave me some great acoustic guitars. Now it's time for me to bring a bass guitar in here. I want to get a little bit of a bottom end thing there to see what that's going to come out like. So I invite my bass player into the studio, and he comes in, and he's going to play along. I'm going to play this rough sample of mine. He's going to hear it, and then he's going to play along with those great acoustic guitars. All right, here we have acoustics and bass guitar. Check it out. Yeah, again, Mr. Steve Bryant, one of my dear friends, and my go-to bass player. I just love this guy. So now you can see, man, I've got something to really get fired up about. I've got a great acoustic. I've got a great bass guitar. Okay, now I'm going to have to add some drums. I want to get this push and this groove going in this song. So I invite my dear friend, Mr. Dennis Holt, to come into the studio and lay down some drums along with Kurt on the acoustic and Steve Bryant on the bass guitar. All right, check it out, guys. Here we go with acoustic, bass, and drums. Oh, yeah, now. You see what's going on here? Remember my terrible example that I did? Look at what's happening right before our eyes. I've got these great acoustics, great bass guitar, great drums. And now I'm at the moment where I'm going to need, since that was kind of my meat and potatoes items. In other words, the acoustics were really the driving force of this song. So now I want to add some decorations around these guys. I want to bring in some electric guitars that are going to, add some color and some flavor. I want to also add some piano and strings and a fiddle. So you're going to hear all of them together now. And this is where the magic just truly gets started. So check this out. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, when you're a songwriter and you hear that with your song, it's time to get excited. I mean, come on. All the way from that terrible example that I had, and then all of a sudden, look what they're able to do with your original thought. They're able to take it from nothing to something, and they can do it so easily, because they do it every single day. Now, let me add a big shout out for the other players that came in after I got the acoustics, which again is the driving force in this song. And then I got my bass guitar, I got the drums, and then we brought in the electric guitars, which is my dear friend, Mr. Mike Sievers. Right after that, we brought in piano and strings. That was Dennis Wage. And then my dear friend, Wanda Vick, on the fiddle. So see, once you piece all that together, now this is where it gets really exciting, because as a singer-songwriter, now I get to lay down a verse and a chorus with that music. So let me share with a reference vocal. Check it out.
Don't need a big house sitting on a hill, and I don't need a fancy car sitting on fancy wheels. I don't need lots of money, it can't buy me happiness. Oh baby, I want you, and I don't need the rest. I need some stars and a sky with night passing by. I need wind in your hair as long as you're there, so I can look in your eyes. I need a fire and a flame when you whisper my name. I'm a simple man, it's true. I need a moon and you.
All right, now you've heard that initial process of what typically happens when we as songwriters, we get out there, we bring in these great musicians in the studio, we get our song recorded. Now, what's left in my process on my song is I want to look at steel guitar being laid down in there in a few places. I also want to look at some possibilities of mandolin just to enhance a few areas that are a little empty. And then after I get all of that done and I feel very comfortable, all the music is complete, then it's time for me to go and lay down the real demo vocal. Now, what I will probably do is bring in a demo singer who is hired a lot for Keith Urban songs. I'll reach out to some friends and we'll select the best Keith Urban demo singer that really does reflect that Keith Urban vibe and all of that. Because when I put this out there to Keith Urban, I really want him to hear himself doing it and know that, yeah, this is a song I've been looking for. This is a great song. That's your agenda every time. That's the goal, is to get it as close to that flavor of a Keith Urban. Even though he's very versatile, he does a lot of different styles of songs. I just really heard him on this one. And then after I bring in that demo vocalist and they sing the real vocal, then I'll bring in a background vocalist and we'll lay down any of the harmonies that need to be laid down. Then I will do a final mix and mix everything where it's just totally perfect and make sure it's ready to go to Keith Urban. So that's kind of how this works. Now, there's more details, but the show would have to be a lot longer. If you are a singer and songwriter and you want to know how to do this, where do you start? It's real simple. Get on my website and send me a comment or a question. It comes to my personal email. I will get in touch with you. If you put your phone number in there, I'll call you. Please don't make mistakes that I made in the past and throw your song out there thinking you've got something great if you have not brought in, number one, the right producer, the right musicians, the right vocalist. Now, that was my sample of me singing, and I'm a demo vocalist. I do it every day, but I'm probably not going to do the demo vocal on it. I'm probably going to hire someone who's better at that style than me. Again, remember, you've got to leave your egos on the outside of the door. Bring in the best fit for that given song. A big shout out to all the great musicians that I named. These are all dear friends of mine, and they do a great job. They play on so many hit songs, and you can hear why. Well, sit back. I want to share a couple of more things with you, and then I'm going to let you go, and that's going to wrap up my 35th episode of Let's Talk About Tomorrow. So what I want to do, I want to bring a couple of writers on the show today, and I know we're near the end of the show, and I appreciate you listeners hanging around. I brought in one of my favorite songwriters, and I've had the chance of working with him. A lot of you have heard his music out on the radio, doing really well. He's not only a songwriter, he's a great singer, great entertainer, and he's got some great country music out there that the country radio fans are really, really loving. I want to welcome to the show Mr. Corey Farlow. Corey, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, man, doing great, Earl, man. Good talking to you. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're here. Hey, listen, do me a favor. Most people aren't going to believe me because I'm not a hit songwriter. But I want you, since you've got some success going on with your songs out there on the radio, you were voted the best new artist in Nashville at the ICM Awards last year. You had a #1 song out there last year at the ICM Awards. Please talk to my listeners, because I know I do have songwriters that are out there listening. Tell them the importance of really planning out, the professional recordings and things like that when it's time to record what you feel is a hit song.
Yeah, man, that's super important, I think. Just because, when you're going to present the song, let's say which I record a lot of the songs that I write, as far as for projects, but if you're going to present the song to other artists, and pursue that, you want to give the best representation of your idea. And sometimes people think they can rely on their own, ideas or what they're hearing, but we got to go to those professional musicians that create, those signature licks, in songs and the signature sounds, so we can, be current for today,
Now, let me ask you this, okay? Now, first of all, I know you don't have to ever hire any demo vocalists because you're a great country vocalist. I tell people all the time, I tell songwriters all the time, make sure you hire great vocalists. I've written songs for my listeners. I've written several songs to where I've asked Corey to come in and actually sing those songs for me as the demo vocalist. And because I knew he could definitely tear that song up when I can't. So, see, it's like I shared. And, Corey, I told my listeners earlier that a lot of us have got to remember to leave our egos outside. Now, I've heard you play acoustic guitar. I think you play acoustic guitar great. But do you ever play acoustic on any of your recordings?
No, just like, rough ideas that I take to those guys that do that. And I hear that all the time, wow, man, you can play that acoustic guitar. And I'm like, no, I can pull it off live and get through. But when it comes down to the studio tracks and just, that presentation thing, back to that and creation aspect of it, no, I give that to the professional guitar player.
Is that not the smartest move that you can do? I mean, would you ever try to take the place of one of those guys in the studio?
No, I never would.
Right.
I play around, of course, in my home studio, and I record, like you had mentioned before, that, we record the rough vocal and rough idea, but no, man, you got to take it to the guys they do it every day. They create every day, they play professionally every day.
Right.
And that's going to make the difference in selling your song.
That's right. Well, listen, buddy, I don't want to tie you up. I know I caught you at the last second. I'm very thankful that you came on the show, shared with our listeners, because like I said, I know we got a lot of writers out there. And I just want to make sure they understand the importance. And listen, tell our listeners before you get off here, what's going on with Corey Farlow right now? Give us a little nugget.
Well, I don't think you even know this, but actually I'd recorded recently a duet with Lori Morgan.
Right.
And it was a song from my uncle from the 40s, Mr. George Morgan, called Candy Kisses. And we got a little action in Nashville. They want to possibly push that song to those classic stations and things, and
cool.
Even maybe the Texas circuit and some things that we're talking about. So that's a possibility coming. Of course, my mainstream, I got a brand new project that's getting ready to release called Country's Cornbread. I'm working on release stuff as we speak. So, I mean, I'm hitting it hard, getting ready to put another single out to radio. Got a single out on ICM radio now that came in the first month in the top 100. So it's already doing great. So
sweet.
I got 3 or 4 irons in the fire, so to speak.
Well, just make sure when y'all head out to Texas, just let me know well in advance so I can pack my bag.
All righty.
Because I'm going. See, I missed the last one because you snuck out of town. You didn't tell me. I'm getting on this one, so.
Maybe when we head out together, man, we can write another hit song.
Hey, there you go, buddy. I'm ready anytime you are. All right, to all my listeners, I want to thank Corey for coming on the show. Y'all check out Corey. It's matter of fact, let's give him your website address. It's www.coreyfarlowmusic.
CoreyFarlowCountry.com, and I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it.
Man, we can follow you everywhere, can't we?
You can.
All right, buddy. Listen, I really do appreciate you taking the time to stop by and share with me and my listeners, number one, what's going on in your world, and two, that it is very important to get out there and use the right people when it comes time to actually record your songs. All right, Corey Farlow, thanks, buddy. Best of luck to you on everything. I'll talk to you again really soon.
Okay, buddy.
Thanks, bud. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it, Mr. Corey Farlow. Hey, Corey's jamming out there. He's got things going on. You need to be checking him out. He's like I said, got a new project that's getting ready to come out, Country as Cornbread. Sounds country to me. Makes me hungry, but it sounds country. So make sure you all check out Corey Farlow. All right, stick around. All right, my last guest, and I am so glad he's taken time out of his day to join us, and he is joining us via the Let's Talk hotline. Hey, guys, it's our theme song for the weekend, the writer of Welcome to the Weekend, Mr. Tommy Lee Crossland. Tommy, are you with us?
Hey, Earl.
How's it going, buddy?
Good, man.
Weekend's here, baby. I'm telling you, man. This is the day we've been waiting for. The
Welcome to the weekend.
I know. I mean, listen, we already played the song. I'm sure all the listeners were out there rocking out to it. I'm just glad you took the time. I really wanted to ask you a couple of very, very important questions. As a great songwriter, as a great performer, I love the way you play acoustic. I love the way you sing your songs. Please tell my listeners how important it is. Like, let's just take Welcome to the Weekend. How important was it to you to get that song professionally produced, professionally recorded? Give us a little thought process on that, Tommy.
Oh, goodness, Earl. It starts out rough when you're writing.
Yeah.
It's just the writer and an acoustic guitar, and sometimes you don't even have the song down real good.
Right.
So you practice that song up, then you get with the best players, get it charted out, go to a studio that's, reputable.
Yeah.
And, we call it baking the cake at first. You get the the rhythm section, the bass, drums, and some guitar.
Right.
Get it going, and just get a bass layer going, and then come back with what we call the utility players.
That's right.
If you add fiddle or steel guitar or banjo, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it comes out polished.
Yeah. It's so amazing because, and I don't know if you've been able to listen to any part of the show, but I shared with the folks that a song that I'd actually written, and I'm still working on the song, but I wanted to give them the real true story of the process, how when I write a song, when Tommy Crossland writes a song, when Corey Farlow writes a song, we all, now I'm going to speak for me only because you guys play guitar a lot better than I do. But when I sit down and play guitar, I mean, it's awful. And every time I go down to see Kurt Ryle, who's a dear friend of mine, Kurt does most of my acoustic stuff, and he did on this sample that I shared with the listeners. And Kurt was like, hey, Earl, you mind letting me do that next time? He just
definitely.
Yeah, it's important. Go ahead.
Because I'm not that great of a player myself. I'm more of a songwriter and entertainer or whatever. But you get somebody like Kurt Ryle laying down the acoustic, and you've got something.
Yeah, you've actually had Kurt on a couple of your songs, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We both said the same word, amazing.
And that's what they are. And then to go from there and just like you said, we always get the meat and potatoes. And it's so funny the way you described this, because earlier on the show, for the listeners, I described it that way, that I get all the meat and potatoes kind of done. Then you come in with the utilities, get the overdubs done and the other flavors that's added. It's kind of like a big recipe,
It is.
And to make the meal complete, man, you've got to add the salt and the pepper and, hot sauce, ketchup, whatever you may like. But it's such a necessity. Here's the question, the $1 million question. I want my listeners that are songwriters and even play guitar and sing like you and I both do. Would you ever consider playing acoustic on your own recordings professionally?
Never, ever, never.
Hey, Tommy, you should have hesitated at least a little bit.
You know what, Earl? A lot of people that don't know what we know about the recording sessions, they think, oh, I can play, and it's not, it's like honed players on baseball and football and stuff.
Yeah.
Those professional players, they're like professional baseball players or football players. They have honed their skills to where it's so smooth. And not only the players, Earl, but we got to add the producer in there too. It takes a good producer to make things come out right as well.
I do believe that. I always have, and I think that, if you find the right producer that's passionate about what he's doing or she's doing, man, that makes such a big deal. I mean, if they love music too and they want to create that, production and piece it together as a producer, and I mean, if they're as passionate about your song as you are, you got the right person,
That's right.
And, back when you talk about the, professional athletes and all that, somebody asked me, this is kind of the analogy I've always used. Someone asked me, okay, who's the greatest pitcher of all time, in baseball? Well, arguably people can say Nolan Ryan. Some can say Randy Johnson. And, when you say, somebody said Randy Johnson one time, I said, you know what? I can't disagree with you. He's a great pitcher. But if you put him on second base, he'd be the worst baseball player in the league.
You're absolutely right.
That's why even though I play guitar, I'll never play on my own recordings. I just won't do it. I'm glad to hear you say the same thing. Corey had the same answer you did. Neither one of you hesitated. You come right out just like I did and said, no, it's not going to happen. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say the biggest thing, Earl, is you got to know the difference.
Yes.
And most people, they can play and sing and they think, well, I can do what they can do. And it just doesn't work like that. It
really doesn't. You're one of the nicest guys I've met. You're so polite at the way you say things. And I'm going to tell you something, Tommy, that is the most critical part, is knowing the difference. Now, I'm going to say this because of what you said. If you are a writer who does play guitar and you sing, if you don't know the difference, let somebody that you somewhat trust, let them tell you the difference and just trust them,
Exactly.
Because some people don't know the difference. Just ask somebody if you don't know for sure. Ask somebody that you can trust. I'll give you another example. This one song that I've written, I'm working on it still. I want to actually plug that song to Keith Urban someday. Now, I will bring in, and Tommy, you've known me for many years. You and I go way back. I've been singing my whole life.
Yes, sir.
I'm not a great Keith Urban singer, though, so I will hire a demo vocalist who can do a better job at that song than I can. Even though I'm a vocalist, I'm going to back off of that. And what I shared on the show before you actually came on, I told all the listeners, that's where your ego has to be left out outside. You can't bring that into a studio setting. You really need to let the experts handle it because they are amazing. So,
yes. And if you do, you're going to get so much of a better project done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you're a witness. You've got some great songs, man. You've got some hit songs. And I will say this, a lot of it's due to because you are a great writer. I've told you that before. You're one of the best writers I've heard. But you're also smart enough to know I've got to go in, hopefully find the right producer that will find the right musicians to piece this puzzle together and make it one piece that people will love to just stare at, And so I think that's where you've made some great decisions, and you're going to get your due. It's coming. And, hey, I'm telling you right now, buddy, that Welcome to the Weekend song, we love it, man, on the show. I'm just thankful you let us borrow that thing every Friday because...
Yeah, we just got to get the right artist on that one now.
Don't worry. We're going to keep on plugging that bad boy until somebody calls up and says, excuse me, I need that. So it's going to happen. We'll get there. Well, buddy, listen, I appreciate you coming on the show at the last second. You're a dear friend, buddy. Tell your wife, Teresa, I said hello. Thank you for coming on and sharing with our listeners because I really wanted them to hear your side and your perspective when it comes to writing and recording professionally. Tommy, Thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Earl.
Have a great weekend, buddy.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you have it. Another witness. This guy's been through it. Great writer. He knows what it takes to have a hit song. He knows what you've got to do to create a hit song. It's not just writing it. You've got to have the right players and all that too. All right, guys, listen, I've kept you long enough today, but I really wanted to get this show out there. I'm seeing way too many songwriters spending way too much money and not getting a product that they deserve. I wanted to share with them the process. I'll be glad to answer any questions for you. I am a producer. I am a songwriter. I'm also a mixing engineer. I do this every single day for a living. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, comments. Again, use my website. Download the mobile apps. They're free. Google Play or the App Store. Use the comment form and reach out to me. Send me your phone number. I will call you and talk you through some of this. I hope you have an awesome weekend. Special thanks to Tommy Crossland, Corey Farlow, all those great musicians that I named off earlier. Please reach out to me. Let me help you if I can. And I look forward to talking to you guys again on Monday. Have an awesome weekend. Bye-bye.